After Superman was told that he needed to team up with Superboy Prime if he wanted to save the universe from Darkseid's Legion, initially there was some pushback and he opposed the idea, furiously grabbing Prime by the collar and condemning him for killing people in the past. But as most of us probably know, Superboy Prime is so powerful that he's constantly breaking the fourth wall, similar to Deadpool. So he defended himself by saying, hey man, that was at least like 2 reboots ago. And besides, if everyone I killed was eventually brought back from the dead, did I really even kill them at all? But wanting to get the ball rolling because he knew Darkseid and his Legion were hard at work, the Time Trapper then started elaborating on why this team up was necessary, indicating that Superboy Prime was an anomaly outside of time and space, so Darkseid's Legion wouldn't be prepared for him. But maybe even more important than that, Superman would soon encounter familiar faces and hesitate to do what needed to be done, while Superboy Prime would gladly do what needed to be done. However, right after that, Time Trapper expressed that he wasn't able to accompany them on their journey because all would be lost if Darkseid managed to catch him. Once he was gone, Superman was puzzled because he wasn't sure how they were going to get to the 31st century without the Time Trapper's powers, but that's when Superboy Prime literally started punching time and space so they could get there, expressing that it was a better route anyways because the time stream was currently being watched by opposing forces. So after that, the two of them began punching through time and space together, but in the midst of doing so, Superboy Prime stated that their #1 priority once they arrived to the future was retrieving Booster Gold. But somehow, some way, Superman had no idea or recollection of who Booster Gold was, which was a huge indicator of how messed up time was right now and another indicator of how negatively Darkseid and the Absolute Universe were affecting the main universe. Nevertheless, the two powerhouses continued their journey through time and space, with Prime expressing that he wasn't worried right now because he already knew exactly how the story was gonna unfold. They were gonna find Booster Gold, be interrupted and overwhelmed by Darkseid's Legion, but when their backs were up against the wall, a bunch of good versions of the Legion of superheroes from different universes were gonna pour in and help them save the day. But when they eventually arrived to the correct point in time, Superman realized that Superboy Prime couldn't have been more wrong because not only was everything already destroyed, but a bunch of members from the good legions were already slaughtered. And only a few moments later, Superman realized that the Saturn girl from his universe, who he used to be friends with, was dead as well. But worst of all was that somehow this was becoming Superman's reality because according to Superboy Prime, whatever was happening to Superman in present day was somehow making this his guaranteed future that he wouldn't be able to change. While mourning the loss of his loved ones though, eventually Superman was overcome by anger because Prime wasn't taking the situation seriously at all, stating that the battle between the superheroes and Darkseid's Legion must have been super cool and that he couldn't believe the writers decided to kill this many characters. But to Superman, they weren't just characters, they were his friends. But before Superman could continue lecturing him, they were interrupted by a good version of Cosmic Boy holding a shovel, claiming that all was lost and it was time to bury their dead.